Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, and with pranams, thank you very much for joining in for our Krishna book study today. Yesterday, my sincere gratitude to all the devotees who joined us for this 3 hours Bhagavad Gita recitation, and then we studied Gita Mahatmya, and then we did one round of chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. We ended with Harinama Sankirtan, and we sang one very nice Vaishnava bhajan, Shuddha Bhakata Charana Renu Bhajan Anukula. So we thank all the devotees who joined us yesterday for the Ekadashi special session. So today we will continue with our study of Krishna book. We are on chapter number 53, Krishna kidnaps Rukmini. So we saw last time how Krishna was called Ranachor, right? Because he ran away from the battlefield. Because Krishna is not interested in other people, what they are calling him. Krishna is very interested in serving his devotees. So when Krishna wanted to go and kidnap Rukmini as per her instructions, he was not bothered that, the Jayadratha is attacking from one side, Kalevanan is attacking from the other side. He's not bothered. He simply wants to go to this particular temple that Rukmini Devi is told. It is the day before her marriage, and Shishupal, she's going to get married to Shishupal. So before she gets married to Shishupal, the Prabhupada gives a very beautiful analogy. Right? Before the wolves come for the prey, the lion has to come and steal the prey, right? So in that way, Prabhupada mentions it like that. So in this way, Rukmini herself tells Krishna, come and steal me away before Shishupal comes and marries me. And she also tells that she is going to a Durga temple, and there will be all the warriors will be outside, like Shishupal and all of them, Rukmi and all. Rukmini's elder brother Rukmi and all of them will be outside. So when she is just coming out of the temple, she tells Krishna, come and abduct me and perform a Rakshasa wedding with me. Right? Rakshasa wedding means, the groom goes and fights with the warriors there and abducts the bride like that. So that's what is going to happen here. And we saw that, Bhuvana Sundarangam like that. Rukmini writes a letter and sends it through the Brahmana to Lord Shri Krishna, and Krishna makes up his mind. And we also saw how Rukmini had never seen Krishna before. Right? So even we don't have an experience of being with Krishna, talking to Krishna, etc. But there is still hope for us. Just like Rukmini developed her love for Krishna simply by hearing about Krishna from the Brahmana. Similarly, we can also develop our love for Krishna simply by hearing about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Krishna book is just that. Krishna book is the sweet pastimes of the Lord. In the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, given to us in a very appropriate way by His Divine Grace Abhicharan Arvinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So by studying of Srimad Bhagavatam, by study of Krishna book, by study of Bhagavad Gita, by study of Chaitanya Charitamrita, by study of all the small books of Srila Prabhupada, we will understand the Tattva, we will understand the Siddhanta or the philosophy, and we will also understand the Sadachar, how we should behave. Right? So all of these things are very important. Siddhanta, Sadachar and Seva. Right? All these things are very important for us to progress in devotional service, and all of these are covered in an appropriate way in Srila Prabhupada's books. That's why we are reading Prabhupada's books, so that it can transform our lives and we can reawaken our love for Krishna. So on that note, let's quickly go on to this chapter number 53, entitled Krishna Kidnaps Rukmini Devi. Devotees, if you want to read, you can raise your hands. Okay, Deval Mataji wants to read. Okay, go ahead, Mataji. Krishna kidnaps Rukmini.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Danda Pranam. Krishna kidnaps Rukmini. After hearing Rukmini's statement, Lord Krishna was very much pleased. He immediately shook hands with the Brahmana and said, my dear Brahmana, I'm very glad to hear that Rukmini is eager to marry me, since I'm also eager to get her hand. My mind is always absorbed in thoughts of the daughter of Bhishmaka, and sometimes I cannot sleep at night because I'm thinking of her. I can understand that the marriage of Rukmini with Shishupal has been arranged by her elder brother in a spirit of animosity towards me. So I am determined to give a good lesson to all of these princes. Just as one extracts and uses fire after manipulating ordinary wood, after dealing with these demonic princes, I shall bring forth Rukmini like fire from their midst. Krishna, upon being informed of the specific date of Rukmini's marriage, was anxious to leave immediately. He asked his driver Daruka to harness the horses for his chariot and prepare to go to the kingdom of Vidarbha. After hearing this order, the driver brought Krishna's 4 special horses. The names and descriptions of these horses are mentioned in the Padma Purana. The first one, Shaibya, was greenish. The second, Sugriva, was grayish like ice. The third, Megha Pushpa, was the color of a new cloud. And the last, Balaka, was of ashen color. When the horses were yoked and the chariot was ready to go, Krishna held the Brahmana up and gave him a seat by his side. Immediately they started from Dwarka and within one night arrived at the province of Vidarbha. The kingdom of Dwarka is situated in the western part of India and Vidarbha is situated in the northern part. They are separated by a distance of not less than 1,000 miles, but the horses were so fast that they reached their destination, a town called Kundina, within one night or at most 12 hours. Being King Bhishmaka was not enthusiastic about handing his daughter over to Shishupal, but he was obliged to accept the marriage settlement due to his affectionate attachment for his eldest son, who had negotiated it. As a matter of duty, the king was decorating the city for the marriage ceremony and acting in great earnestness to make it very successful. Water was sprinkled all over the streets and the city was cleansed very nicely. Since India is situated in the tropical zone, the atmosphere is always dry. Dust always accumulates on the streets and roads, so they must be sprinkled with water at least once a day, and in big cities like Calcutta, twice a day. The roads of Kundina were arrayed with colored flags and festoons, and gates were decorated or constructed at particular crossings. The whole city was decorated very nicely. The beauty of the city was enhanced by the inhabitants, both men and women, who were dressed in fresh washed clothes and decorated with sandalwood pulp, pearl necklaces, and flower garlands. Incense burned everywhere, and fragrances like aguru scented the air. Priests and brahmanas were sumptuously fed, and according to ritualistic ceremony, were given sufficient wealth and cows in charity. In this way, they were engaged in chanting Vedic hymns. The king's daughter Rukmini was exquisitely beautiful. She was very clean and had beautiful teeth. The auspicious sacred thread was tied on her wrist. She was given various types of jewelry to wear and long silken cloth to cover the upper and lower parts of her body. Learned priests gave her protection by chanting mantras from the Samaved, Rigved, and Yajurved. They then chanted mantras from the Atharvaved and offered oblations in the fire to pacify the influence of different stars. King Bhishmaka was experienced in dealing with brahmanas and priests when such ceremonies were held. He specifically honored the brahmanas by giving them large quantities of gold and silver, grain mixed with molasses, and cows decorated with cloth and ornaments. Damaghosha, Shishupala's father, executed all kinds of ritualistic performances to invoke good fortune for his son. Shishupala's father was known as Damaghosha due to his superior ability to cut down unregulated citizens. Dama means curbing down and Ghosha means famous, so he was famous for controlling the citizens. Damaghosha thought that if Krishna came to disturb the marriage ceremony, he would certainly cut him down with his military power. Therefore, after performing the various auspicious ceremonies, Damaghosha gathered his military divisions. He took many elephants garlanded with golden necklaces and many similarly decorated chariots and horses. It appeared that Damaghosha, along with his son and other companions, was going to Kundina not exactly to get Shishupala married, but mainly to fight. When King Bhishmaka learned that Damaghosha and his party were arriving, he left the city to receive them. Outside the city gate were many gardens where guests were welcome to stay. In the Vedic system of marriage, the bride's father receives the large party of the bridegroom and accommodates them in a suitable place for 2 or 3 days until the marriage ceremony is performed. The party led by Damaghosha contained thousands of men, among whom the prominent kings and personalities were Jarasandha, Dantavakra, Viduratha, and Panduraka. It was an open secret that Rukmini was meant to be married to Krishna, but that her elder brother Rukmi had arranged her marriage to Shishupala. There was also some whispering about a rumor that Rukmini had sent a messenger to Krishna. Therefore, the soldiers suspected that Krishna might cause a disturbance by attempting to kidnap Rukmini. Even though they were not without fear, they were all prepared to give Krishna a good fight to prevent the girl from being taken away. Sri Balram received the news that Krishna had left for Kundina, accompanied only by a Brahmana, and that Shishupala was there with a large number of soldiers. Balrama suspected that they would attack Krishna, and thus, out of great affection for his brother, he took strong military divisions of chariots, infantry, horses, and elephants, and went to the precincts of Kundina. Meanwhile,
Hare
inside the
Krishna.
palace, Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you, Danut Pranam.
Thank you, Danut Pranam. So this is very nice. See, actually, Krishna has gone to abduct Rukmini. And when Balaram comes to know of it, what does Balaram do? Balaram is the elder brother of Krishna, right? So Balaram is always concerned about Krishna, where Krishna is protected at all times, right? Although Balaram knows that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God and he himself is the first expansion of Lord Shri Krishna. Yet, he ensures that Krishna is well and safe at all times. So when he knows that Krishna has just gone with a Brahmana, in that chariot drawn by 4 horses. So immediately what does he do? He takes a strong military army with chariots and infantry, horses and elephants, etc. And they go to this place called Kundina, where the temple is there, where the marriage is supposed to take place. Rukmini and Shishupal, right? And they all know that they've all heard that this letter of Rukmini has already reached Krishna, so Krishna is likely to come. So they are all coming more to face a war rather than to enjoy a wedding, right? Otherwise, if there is a wedding, you'll not come with so many of the chariots and elephants and horses and infantry, etc. Right? So the mode is more to fight a war rather than to actually celebrate the wedding occasion. So it clearly tells that they were very fearful of Krishna, right? And yet, although they thought that they had a very strong army, etc., and they will be able to defeat Krishna, but in their heart of hearts, they knew that they were going to have a big fight with Lord Sri Krishna, and it's very difficult to actually defeat Lord Sri Krishna like that. Okay, Karpavali Mataji, go ahead. Meanwhile, inside the palace, Rukmini was expecting Krishna to arrive.
Hare Krishna, thank you, Mataji Dandatma. Meanwhile, inside the palace, Rukmini was expecting Krishna to arrive. But when neither he nor the Brahmana who took her message appeared, she was full of anxiety and began to think how unfortunate she was. There is only one night between today and my marriage day, and still neither the Brahmana nor Syamasundara has returned. I cannot ascertain any reason for this. Having little hope, she thought that perhaps Krishna has found reason to become dissatisfied and had rejected her fair proposal. As a result, the Brahmana might have become disappointment and not come back. Although she was thinking of various causes for the delay, she expected them both at any moment. Rukmani further thought that the demigods such as Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and goddesses Durga might have been displeased. It is generally said that the demigods become angry when not properly worshipped. For instance, when Indra found that the inhabitants of Vrindavana were not worshipping him, Krishna having stopped the Indra Yajna, he became angry and wanted to chastise them. Thus, Rukmini thought that since she did not worship Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma very much, they might have become angry and tried to frustrate her. Similarly, she thought that goddess Durga, the wife of Lord Shiva, might have taken the side of her husband. Lord Shiva is known as Rudra, and his wife is known as Rudrani. Rudrani and Rudra refer to those who are accustomed to putting others in distress to cry forever. Rukmani was thinking of goddess Durga as Girija, the daughter of the Himalayan mountains. The Himalayan mountains were very cold and hard, and she thought of goddess Durga as hard-hearted and cold. In her anxiety to see Krishna, Rukmani, who was after all still a child, thought this way about the different demigods. The gopis worshipped goddess Katyayani to get Krishna as their husband. Similarly, Rukmani was thinking of the various types of goddesses, demigods, not for material benefit, but in respect to Krishna. Praying to demigods to achieve the favor of Krishna is not irregular. And Rukmani was fully absorbed in thoughts of Krishna. Even
So
though
it's very interesting, Mataji, once again, very interesting that this is the month of Katyayani Vrata, right? Every day in the morning we are chanting Katyayani Mahamaye Mahayogini Deshwari Nandagopasutam Devi Pati Me Gurute Namaha Iti Mantram Japante Staha Pujam Chakruhu Kumarikaha. So it's very interesting, right? How we are studying this in the auspicious month of Katyayani, right? Where the gopis worship Katyayani Devi to get Krishna as their husband. So in the context here, that Rukmini is actually praying to the Durga Devi. They're telling, why is, Durga Devi not ensuring that Krishna is coming, right? Because she's thinking, I directly worship Krishna. I don't worship the demigoddesses. I don't worship Rudra and Rudrani. Rudrani is a Parvati Devi. And because of that, this is very beautiful. The analogy what is given here. Girija means, the daughter of the Himalayan mountains. Just like the mountains are hard-hearted and cold. Similarly, this Girija or, Parvati Devi is so hard-hearted that, she is not helping that Krishna comes and abducts her like that. So generally, we also experience it, right? Sometimes when we are very anxious about something, all the bad thoughts come in our mind. Oh, could this be the reason? Could that be the reason? Like that. So that's what we see here. That Rukmini Devi is also thinking of a lot of things, but in her heart of hearts, she knows Krishna will definitely come. So that is a That is a beauty of devotees, right? So many thoughts may come, but ultimately the devotee knows Krishna will always come and protect them like that. Yes, Mataji, go ahead. Even though she pacified herself,
Even though she pacified herself by thinking that the time for Govinda to arrive had not expired, Rukmani felt that she was hoping against hope, not expressing her mind to anyone. She simply shed tears unobserved by others, and when her tears became more forceful, she closed her eyes in helplessness. When Rukmani was in such a deep thought, auspicious symptoms appeared in different parts of her body. Trembling began to occur in her left eyelid, arm, and thigh. When trembling occurs in these parts of the body, it is an auspicious sign indicating that something lucrative can be expected. Just then, Rukmani, full of anxiety, saw the Brahmana messenger. Krishna, being the super soul of all living beings, could understand Rukmani's anxiety. Therefore, he sent the Brahmana inside the palace to let her know that he had arrived. When Rukmani saw the Brahmana, she could understand the auspicious trembling of her body and immediately became elated. She smiled and inquired whether Krishna had already come. The Brahmana replied that the son of the Yadu dynasty, Sri Krishna, had arrived. He further encouraged her by saying that Krishna had promised to carry her away without fail. Rukmani was so elated by the Brahmana's message and she wanted to give him in charity everything she possessed. However, finding nothing suitable for presentation, she simply offered him her respectful obeisances. The significance of offering respectful obeisances to the superior is that the one offering obeisances is obliged to the respected person. In other words, Rukmani implied that she would remain ever grateful to the Brahmana. Anyone who gets the favor of the goddess of the fortune, as did this Brahmana, as is without a doubt always happy in material opulence. When King Bhishmaka heard that Krishna and Balrama had come, he invited them to see the marriage ceremony of his daughter. Immediately, he arranged to receive them along with their soldiers in a suitable garden house. As was the Vedic custom, the king offered Krishna and Balrama honey and fresh washed garments. He was hospitable not only to Krishna, Balrama, and kings such as Jarasandha, but also to many other kings and princesses according to their personal strength, age, and material possessions. Out of curiosity and eagerness, the people of Kundina assembled before Krishna and Balrama to drink the nectar of their beauty. With tearful eyes, they offered Krishna and Balrama their silent respects. They were very much pleased, considering Lord Krishna a suitable match for Rukmani. They were so eager to unite Krishna and Rukmani that they prayed to the personality of God. Our dear Lord, if we have performed any pious activities with which you were satisfied, kindly be merciful upon us and accept the hand of Rukmani. It appears that Rukmani was very popular princess, and all the citizens, out of intense love for her, prayed that her best fortune. In the meantime, Rukmani, being very nicely dressed and protected by bodyguards, came out of the palace to visit the temple of Ambika, goddess Durga. Deity worship in the temple had been in existence since the beginning of Vedic culture. There is a class of men described in the Bhagavad Gita as Veda Rata. They believe only in Veda Rata. They believe only in the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies, but not in temple worship. Such foolish people may here take note that although this marriage of Krishna and Rukmani took place more than 5,000 years ago, there were arrangements for temple worship. In the Bhagavad Gita, and the Lord says, Yanti Deva Vrata Devan. The worshippers of the demigods attain the abodes of the demigods. There were many people who worshipped the demigods and many who directly worshipped the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The system of
Mataji, not audible. The system of demigod worship was directed mainly to Lord Brahma.
Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lord Ganesha, the sun god and goddess Durga. Lord Shiva and Lord goddess Durga were worshipped even by the royal families. Other minor demigods were worshipped by the silly lower class people. As far as the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas were concerned, they simply worshipped Lord Vishnu, the supreme personality of Godhead. In the Bhagavad Gita, the worship of demigods is condemned but not forbidden. There is a clear, and there it is clearly stated that unless intelligent men worship the demigods for material benefits. On the other hand, even though Rukmani was the goddess of fortune, she went to the temple of goddess Durga because the family deity was worshipped there. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that as Rukmani proceeded toward the temple of goddess Durga, within her heart she always thought of the lotus feet of Krishna. Therefore, when Rukmani went to the temple, it was not with the intention of an ordinary person who goes to beg for material benefits. Her only goal was Krishna.
Hare
As
Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Hari Bol. So, Kamastaste Hritajnana Prapadyate Anya Devataha. Right? Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita, Kamastaste Hritajnana. That means only whose intelligence has been stolen away by so much of sense gratification. That person cannot think of anything other than how I can satisfy my senses. How I can get better food, how I can get better clothing, how I can get better entertainment, recreation, how I can get better sleep. Right? If this is the only goal, how I can get more money, how I can get a bigger house, how I can get a bigger car, etc. How I can become more educated, how I can get more money. So these people, they worship various demigods like Saraswati Devi, like Prabhupada is mentioning here, Kartikeya, or worship Ganesha to remove all the obstacles. Like that, Kamastasya Hritajnanaha, one whose intelligence is stolen away because of sense gratification, only those whose mind is completely occupied by lust. Such people only worship the demigods. Kamasasya prapadyate anya devataha. They worship the anya devata. That means they worship other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Whereas a devotee will only worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But here we see the Rukmini Devi is Lakshmi herself, is an expansion of Lakshmi Devi, who is an expansion of Radharani. But then why is Rukmini Devi actually worshipping the Ambika Devi or Parvati Devi, as the case may be, Durga Devi, as the case may be, right, who's known by different names. But we also saw in the previous paragraph, even gopis who are the highest devotees of the Lord, they also worship Katyayani Devi. But what did they worship for? Right? If we are so much of pure devotees of the Lord that we don't want anything other than Krishna, then we can worship Katyayani Devi, then we can worship any demigod, right? We can worship any demigod, but our only desire should be, I should get Lord Shri Krishna as our husband. Like the gopis pray to the Katyayani Devi, right? May I get Lord Shri Krishna as my husband, right? Pati me kurute namaha. Iti mantram japantya. So they chanted this mantra to get Lord Shri Krishna as a husband. So akama sarvakama va mokshakama udaradi. Tivrena bhakti yogena yajet purusham param. If we have lot of desires, if we have a lot of material desires, then we should worship only the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna. Because if we get those things and yet our bhakti will not get impacted, or we will progress in devotional service, only then Krishna will allow those desires to manifest. But if we are desiring something and if we get that, we will glide down further in the path of in the path of destruction or the path of evolution, right? Of trying to go to Krishna. We are not going towards Krishna. We will further glide further down. Then Krishna will not allow our desires to get fulfilled. But if we worship the demigods for material desires and we perform the yajnas according to the Karma Kanda section, right? We do all that, then the demigods are forced to give us what we want. And what we get may not necessarily be good for us. We think it is good for us, but it may not be necessarily good for us. So that's why if we have desires other than serving, satisfying and pleasing Lord Shri Krishna, we should worship only Krishna. Oh Krishna, I have this desire to get a big house or to get the latest mobile, right? Oh, please help me so that I get the money to buy this house or mobile, right? If it pleases Krishna, Krishna will arrange for the funds and you may get it. If you don't get it, then it is not the desire of Krishna that we should get it, right? In either case, we should worship only Krishna. However, if you are such pure devotees of the Lord, that we simply want to serve Krishna, then we can worship Katyayani Devi, then we can worship Lord Shiva, we can worship Parvati Devi, we can worship Saraswati Devi, whomever we want. But what we should be asking them, we should ask them only Krishna Prem. The goal of only serving, satisfying and pleasing Lord Shri Krishna. That is the only thing we need to ask. So we know our conscience. What are our desires? If we have lot of desires, worship Krishna. We don't have any desire other than satisfying Krishna. Even then, the best is to worship Krishna only. But then, if somebody is so much sold out and they want to get Krishna, and they think that it is easier to get Krishna if we worship someone else, right? Some other devata, because Shiva is Ashutosh, very easy to be pleased. So in such a case, one may worship Lord Shiva, but one should only pray for Krishna Prem. One should only pray for the opportunity to serve Krishna and his devotees, like that it's mentioned. All right, anyone else wants to read who is not yet read so far? As Rukmini proceeded towards the temple, who wants to read? Okay, so let me read. As Rukmini proceeded towards the temple, she was silent and grave. Her mother and her girlfriends. Okay, Shobha Mataji, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Mataji and
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna, Pranam.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. As Rukmani proceeded towards the temple, she was silent and grave. Her mother and her girlfriends were by her side, and the wife of a Brahmana was in the center. Surrounding her were royal bodyguards. This custom of the would-be brides going to be going to the temple of a demigod is still practiced in India. As the procession continued, various musical sounds were heard. Conch shells, drums, as such, panava, Panavas, the bugles of different sizes, such as triyas and bheris, combined to make a sound which was not only auspicious but very sweet to hear. Thousands of wives of respectable Brahmanas were present, all dressed very nicely with suitable ornaments. They presented Rukmini with garlands, sandalwood pulp, and variety of colorful garments to assist her in worshipping Lord Shiva and Goddess Durga. Some of these ladies were very old and knew perfectly well how to chant prayers to Goddess Durga and Lord Shiva. So, followed by Rukmini by others, they led their prayers before the deity. Rukmini offered her prayers to the deity by saying, "My dear Goddess Durga, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you as well as to your children." Goddess Durga has four famous children, two daughters, the goddess of fortune Lakshmi and the goddess of learning Saraswati, and two sons, Lord Ganesha and Lord Kartikeya. They are all considered to be the demigods and goddesses. Since goddess Durga is always worshipped with her famous children, Rukmini specifically offered her respectful obeisances to the deity in that way. However, her prayers were special. Ordinary people pray to goddess Durga for material wealth, fame, profit, strength, and so on. Rukmini, however, desired to have Krishna for her husband and therefore prayed that the deity be pleased with her and blessed her with that benediction. Since she desired only Krishna, her worship of demigods is not condemned. While Rukmini was praying, she presented a variety of items before the deity, chief of which were water, different kinds of flames, incense, garments, garland, and various food prepared with ghee, such as puris and kachoris. She also offered fruits, sugarcane, betel nuts, and spices. With great devotion, Rukmini offered them to the deity according to the regulative principles directed by the old Brahmana ladies. After this ritualistic ceremony, the ladies offered their remnant of the food to Rukmini as prasadam, which she accepted with great respect. Then Rukmini offered her obeisances to the ladies and to goddesses Durga. After the business of deity worship was finished, Rukmini caught hold of the hand of one of her girlfriends in her own hand, which was decorated with a jeweled ring, and left the temple in the company of the others. All the princes and visitors who came to Kundina for the marriage had assembled outside the temple to see Rukmini. The princes were especially eager to see her because all they actually thought that they would have Rukmini as their wife. Struck with wonder upon seeing Rukmini, they thought she was especially manufactured by the Creator to bewilder all the great chivalrous princes. Her body was very well constructed, the middle portion being thin. Her hips were adorned with jeweled locket. She had pink lips, and the beauty of her face was enhanced by her slightly scattered hair and by different kinds of earrings. The bodily luster and beauty of Rukmini appeared as if painted by an artist perfectly presenting beauty following the descriptions of great poets. Rukmani's breasts are described as being somewhat high, indicating that she was just a youth, not more than 13 or 14 years old. Her beauty was specifically intended to attract the attention of Krishna. Although the princess gazed upon her beautiful features, she was not at all proud. Her eyes moved restlessly, and when she smiled very simply, like an innocent girl, her teeth appeared just like jasmine buds, expecting Krishna to take her away at any moment. She proceeded slowly towards her home. Her legs moved just like a full-grown swan, and her ankle belt twinkled mildly. The
Thank you,
chivalrous
Mataji.
princess assembled. Haribol, thank you, Mataji, Dandavats.
Thank you, Dandavat Pranam. So this is a very beautiful description, right? As Rukmini Devi is preparing for her marriage, she is doing the nice puja of Durga Devi, right? Rudra and Rudrani, as it is very beautifully mentioned, right? So she does the puja for the deities under the guidance of the older ladies who are so trained in doing that puja. But when she comes out, her beauty is described with such a great description, but she herself is looking, very restless here and there. She's just looking for where is Krishna, where is Krishna. So although she's not found Krishna, she's already with Krishna, because in her thought, in her word, in her deed, she's always thinking of Krishna. Oh, when will Krishna come? When will Krishna abduct me? So like that, whenever we are in separation from Krishna and we're always thinking about Krishna, that means it is even more glorious than being in the personal association of Krishna. Right? The Acharyas explain how Vipralamba Seva is even better than Sambhoga Seva. Right? Sambhoga Seva means we try to serve the Vapu, or the body of the Lord, or that of the spiritual master. However, even higher than serving than Vapu Seva is Vani Seva. That means when we, of course, if we get the opportunity to serve our spiritual master in person, we should definitely do it, right? But more important than the Vapu Seva is Vani Seva. So what is the Vani Seva that Srila Prabhupada has given us? What is the Vani Seva that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us? Yare dekhi tare kahe Krishna Upadesh. Simply, we have to tell everybody about Krishna. We have to always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. Right? As well as Jayapataka Swami Maharaj always blesses. Krishna Matirastu. Right? You always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. That is the greatest benediction that we can have. And we see here that Rukmini Devi, although there are so many princes around her, they are all praising her, looking at her beauty, etc. She's not at all proud, because she knows that I am existing because I want to dedicate myself to the service of Lord Sri Krishna, right? I am here just to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna. So that is her mood. And that's why, in spite of all the people around her, her eyes are only looking for where is Krishna? Has Krishna come? How Krishna is going to abduct her? Right? So her thought, Manasa Deho Geho Jo Kichumor, Arpilu Tuapade Nanda Kishore, Bhaktivinoda Thakur sings. Right? So whatever we may be doing, our heart, our mind and soul, we should always be surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, like that. Okay, let's move ahead. Last part of the chapter. Who'll read? Okay, Rajneesh Prabhu, go ahead. The chivalrous princess.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. Yes, Prabhu. The chivalrous princess assembled there.
The chivalrous princes assembled there were so overwhelmed by Rukmini's beauty that they became almost unconscious and fell from their horses and elephants. Full of lust, they hopelessly desired Rukmini's hand, comparing their own beauty to hers. Srimati Rukmini, however, was not interested in any of them. In her heart, she was simply expecting Krishna to come and carry her away. As she was adjusting the ornaments on a finger of her left hand, she happened to look upon the princes and suddenly saw that Krishna was present amongst them. Although Rukmini had never before seeing Krishna, she was always thinking of him. Thus, she had no difficulty recognizing him amongst the princely order. Krishna, unconcerned with the other princes, immediately took the opportunity to place Rukmini on his chariot, marked by a flag bearing an image of Gaur. He then proceeded slowly, without fear, taking Rukmini away exactly as a lion takes a deer from the midst of jackals. Meanwhile, Balram appeared on the scene with the soldiers of Yadu dynasty. Jarasandh, who had many times experienced defeat by Krishna, roared, "How is this? Krishna is taking Rukmini away from us without opposition. What is the use of our being Shiv-
Chivalrous fighter.
chivalrous fighters with arrows? My dear princes, just look, we are losing our reputation. He is just like a jackal taking booty from a lion." Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 53rd chapter of Krishna. Krishna kidnaps Rukmini. Hare Hari Bol.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. So Krishna, just like a lion, takes the prey away in the amidst the various jackals. Like that, Krishna comes, and when Rukmini Devi sees Krishna, she's never seen Krishna before. But yet, when we remember somebody so much, when we think of somebody so much, automatically from our heart, Sarvasya Chaham Hridi Sannivishto, Matha Smriti Jnanam Apohanam Cha. Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita 15.15, Matha Smriti Jnanam Apohanam Cha. Krishna says, I give you remembrance, I give you knowledge, I give you remembrance. I give you Matha Smriti Jnanam Apohanam Cha. I give you intelligence, I give you remembrance, and I give you even forgetfulness. Right? So sometimes we need to forget all of our lusty thoughts, and sometimes we need to remember our serious liking for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we need Krishna. So sometimes, it is as Acharyas also explained that if we remember what we were in our previous life, right? So maybe, if we were some animal or some beast or even a human form of life, if it died in a very some difficult circumstances, if you remember all that, then we will get mental issues, right? So it is better that we don't remember all these things. So when Krishna enables us to forget certain things, those kind of forgetfulness also are for our benefit only, right? So in that way, Krishna abducts Rukmini and takes her away, and then Jayadratha and all of them, they are all thinking, oh, Krishna has abducted her, now we have to fight and bring back Rukmini Devi. So they fight with Krishna, and of course Krishna defeats all the princes and takes Rukmini home to Dwaraka. So let's read, it's 143, we can study for 10 more minutes. Chapter number 54. Krishna defeats all the princes and takes Rukmini home to Dwaraka. Okay, anyone else wants to read? All right, let me read. Jarasandha and all the other princes were very angry at Krishna for having kidnapped Rukmini. Struck by Rukmini's beauty, they had fallen from the backs of their horses and elephants. Okay, Karpaguli Mataji, go ahead.
Raji.
Okay, Rakhi Mataji can read. Karpaguli Mataji already read, right? We'll ask Rakhi Mataji to read. Yes, Mataji, go ahead.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Jarasandha and all the other princes from there. Mataji, please unmute.
Yeah. Kidnapped Rukmini. Struck by Rukmini's beauty, they had fallen from the backs of the horses and elephants. But now they began to stand up properly and properly arm themselves. Picking up their bows and arrows, they began to chase Krishna on their chariots, horses, and elephants. To check their progress, the soldiers of Yadu dynasty turned and faced them. Thus, terrible fighting began between some disturbance in between the cream. Okay.
Which means the two belligerent groups.
Yeah. Picking up their bows and they began to chase Krishna on the chariots, horses, and elephants. To check their progress, the soldiers of the Yadu dynasty turned and faced them. Thus, terrible fighting began between the two belligerent groups. The princes opposing Krishna, who were led by Jarasandha and were all expert in fighting, shot the arrows at the Yadu soldiers. Just as cloud splashes the face of a mountain with torrents of rain. Gathered on the face of a mountain, a cloud does not move very much, and therefore the force of the rain is much more severe on the mountain than anywhere else.
The opposing princes?
The opposing princes
were determined to defeat Krishna and recapture Rukmini from his custody, and they fought with him as severely as possible.
As Krishna was speaking with Rukmini, the commanders of the Yadu and the opposing princes were determined to defeat Krishna and recapture Rukmini from his custody, and they fought with them as severely as possible. Rukmini, seated by the side of Krishna, saw arrows raining from the opposing party into the the
Faces of the
Yadu soldiers. In a fearful attitude, she looked upon Krishna's face, expressing her gratefulness and that she had taken such a great risk for her sake only. Her eyes moving, she appeared sorry, and Krishna, who would immediately understand her mind, encouraged her and with these words, "My dear Rukmini, don't worry. Please rest assured that the soldiers of the Yadu dynasty will kill all the opposing soldiers without delay." As Krishna was speaking with Rukmini, the commanders of the Yadu dynasty's soldiers, headed by Lord Balrama, who is also known as Krsna, as well as by Gada, not tolerating the defiant attitude of the opposing soldiers, began to strike the horses, elephants, and chariots and with arrows. As the fighting progressed, the princes and the soldiers of the enemy began to fall from their horses, elephants, and chariots. Within a short time, millions of severed heads, decorated with helmets and earrings, had fallen on the battlefield. The soldiers' hands were severed along with their bows and arrows and clubs. Armed were piled upon arms, ties, and horses upon horses. Somewhat similarly, other animals such as camels, elephants, and asses, as well as infantry soldiers, all fell and with severe heads. When the army, headed by the soldiers of Krishna, they thought it might be soldiers by Krishna. To risk losing the armies in the battle for the sake of Shishupala. Shishupala himself should have fought to rescue Rukmini from the hands of Krishna. But when the soldiers saw that, they did not to lose their armies unnecessarily. Therefore, they ceased fighting and dispersed. Some of the princes, as a matter of
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. So this is very wonderful. See, when they tried fighting, what happened when they were getting defeated? You know, all of their soldiers were all getting killed. Then what happened? He's thinking, is it really worth it? Why should I lose all my soldiers for the sake of Shishupal? Right? He should come and fight. He himself is running away somewhere. So why should I lose my soldiers and all my people for him? Right? So this is simply like how Kamsa, right? Kamsa was so affectionate towards his sister Devaki. He was personally riding the chariot, taking Devaki to Vasudev's home. But then what happened? Akashvani came. That means my sense gratification is getting affected. Right? My things are, aham mameti. Right? Janasya mohasya aham mameti. Whenever we are always thinking, selfish people. That means if you are not devoted to the Lord, then what are we always thinking about? We're always thinking about what's in it for me. Am I going to enjoy with this or not? If I'm not going to enjoy, I don't want to do it. Only if this leads to proper sense gratification for me, I'm interested in doing it. Right? So, Jarasandha initially he wanted to help Shishupal because Shishupal was supposed to marry Rukmini Devi, isn't it? But then later on he thought, oh, my army is getting completely disintegrated and he already lost so many times. So he's thinking, why Shishupal himself is not coming and fighting? Why should I fight and get all of my soldiers killed in this process? So what did he do? He simply, he just wanted to tell Shishupal, I tried something for you, but I could not do anything. So he arranged for his army to disperse and then he went away. So this is the mindset of a devotee as well as a demon, right? A devotee wants to serve the Lord in all circumstances. What does a demon do? A demon also, he tries to serve his or her master, but what is the desire? Sense gratification. As long as my sense gratification is being provided for, right? Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha, they all prayed to Brahma, Lord Shiva, saying that I should become invincible, I should never be killed. And then what happened? Brahma and Shiva, what did they say? I cannot give give you moksha, right? I myself, Brahma told, I myself am not invincible. So how can I give you immortality? That's something that I myself don't possess. So like that, they pray to Brahma, Lord Shiva, etc. for some material benefit. As long as their material benefit is intact, they will continue to perform those rituals, right? But that, what is the difference between a demon and a devotee? A devotee is spiritual, whereas a demon only performs the ritual to get some kind of sense gratification done, right? Whereas a devotee is spirit plus ritual. What is the spirit? The spirit is the spirit of serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then the ritual. What is the ritual we do? We chant Hare Krishna. But why do we chant Hare Krishna? Because we want to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We also do Abhishek, Arati. We bathe the deities. We offer bhoga to the deities. But what is the spirit behind doing that ritual? The spirit behind doing that ritual is we want to serve, satisfy, and please Guru and Gauranga. So this is the attitude of a devotee. In all circumstances, a devotee wants to please Guru and Gauranga, whereas a demon wants to simply enjoy sense gratification. And that's why, it looks from external perspective, it looks like both are praying. It looks like both are trying to get the association of the Lord. But a demon is continuously looking for sense gratification, whereas a devotee is always looking for service opportunities for the pleasure of Guru and Gauranga. So I request all the devotees switch on your cameras. Quickly, we will do Harinam Sankirtan and then we'll end our session. Amma Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Pinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Asatya Rishatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Priya Dvaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Priya Dvaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Gauranitai Jai Jagannath Jai Baladev Jai Subhadra Jai Sudarshan Jai Bala Gopal Jai Radha Rath Bihari Jai Radha Giridhari Jai Radha Radhe Jai Radhe Radhe Jai Radhe Radhe Jai Radhe Radhe Jai Radha Ram Sundar Radha Madhava Radha Ras Bihari Shri Radhe Jaya Tat Goswami Jaya Guru Parampara Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Guru Deva Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol कलियुग पावन हरिनाम संकीर्तन महायज्ञ की जय जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद श्री गुरुदेव की जय अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय हिताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल हरे कृष्णा सो आई एम सेइंग कर्पगुली माता जी oh Harjeet माता जी Namesh Prabhu, is it Namesh Prabhu's birthday today? Oh, okay, so it's Namesh Prabhu's birthday today and they are in the holy dham of Mayapur, isn't it Mata ji?
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam. So we wish our dearest Namesh Prabhu a very, very, very happy Krishna conscious birthday. Hari Bol. Namesh Prabhu ki jai. Hari Bol. So many, many happy birthday wishes. And you are in the holy dham. So nicely pray to their lordships. our wishes that Namish Prabhu becomes a very nice devotee like Prahlad Maharaj and deliver your entire family, 21 generations up and down. The grace of Guru and Gauranga. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Okay, so else we have Shobha Mataji is there, Rajeshwari Mataji is there, Rajneesh Prabhu, Archana Mataji is there, Rakesh Rani Mataji is there, Nagavini Mataji is there, Anuradha Leela Mataji is there. Of course, our Deval Mataji is also there. So thank you very much for joining in. And Harjit Mataji, also keep all of us in your prayers at the Holy Dham. If you get to meet as well as Jayapataka Swami Shri Guru Maharaj, then you meet him, and then you share the details with me, what's happening and how the event goes on. All right. Hare Krishna. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Gurudev ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. So thank you very much, dear devotees. We'll meet you tomorrow morning, 5 o'clock for the Brahma Murta chanting session. Tomorrow is Friday, so we'll meet again for the Krishna book study. We'll continue this chapter. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.